Can To the Stars Academy build a UFO? Well, they've promised to strive to accomplish just that. At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the aerospace companies that Tom DeLonge has very recently stated To the Stars Academy has partnered with, apparently to construct what, well, you and I would consider a UFO. But first, here is Tom DeLonge shortly after his company launched, explaining how he's going to get funded to build an alien back-engineered spacecraft and about how long it's going to take to accomplish this feat.
How are we going to build this really expensive craft? Well, you have to understand the craft is something that we think we can do in between 5 and 10 years. It's going to probably cost $1 billion some dollars, but what you do is you take certain steps, and along the way different agencies and institutions of the government help pay for that.
From the same video, here is DeLonge emphasizing the importance of Steve Justice taking part in the construction of a craft based on UFO technology.
And keep in mind too, like, Steve Justice was the boss of thousands of engineers and billions of dollars of programs over at his old job as an aerospace chief. He's not stupid. He's not coming over here because he thinks he can't build this thing. He's not coming over here because he just thought it'd be really cool for me to mention him on Instagram. You don't get a team like this unless they know exactly what they're doing.
I could not agree with Tom DeLonge more. Steve Justice was the #2 guy at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, the world's #1 premier aerospace company in the world that has produced planes like the F-35 Lightning, the F-22 Raptor, the SR-71 Blackbird, which is the most beautiful plane ever produced. It would be ridiculous for him to go on the record saying he believes he can contribute to creating a craft that duplicates much of what UFO technology does unless he could actually do it. In fact, here is Steve Justice going on the record and relaying his intentions to build a craft based on UFO technology.
And one of the things I want to do is figure out what those technologies are in this observed vehicle, and I want to build that. I want to build something that absolutely stimulates the imagination. And To the Stars Academy is structured to do just that.
Here is Luis Elizondo on MSNBC explaining that within the past 2 years, ATIP has made extraordinary progress in better understanding how UFO technology works.
I read one article where it said it's as if you gave, it's as if somebody were to give Leonardo da Vinci a garage remote door opener, and he'd have to reverse engineer, what is this plastic, what does it do? He wouldn't know anything about it, but you'd have to figure it out from what you had.
That's correct, but I'll tell you too, I think in the defense of the program, we actually have some very interesting, I believe, and some very nuanced observations that are now for the first time allowing us to have a better collective understanding of just how it works. So the big question of what it is, well, we're not quite there yet, but I think we're a lot closer now to how it works, some of the advanced physics, than we were just even 2 years ago. I think we have some very interesting conclusions where before maybe we were trying to identify 5 separate exotic technologies to explain what we were doing. I think we've come to the point now where we begin to realize it's really all a manifestation of potentially a single technology.
So what do I think of this whole presentation that I've made so far? Well, it can best be boiled down to a tweet that I made on August 8th. Either To the Stars Academy are banking on understanding the technology more as time goes and developing the technology along with aerospace companies, or it's indirectly suggested by their goal that UFO technology has already been duplicated by aerospace companies and they will do the same. If you believe that Tom DeLonge is correct, he would vouch for the latter. On October 11th, 2017, the day that his company launched, he published the following sentiment: extremely classified technology adapted for weaponry or defense will never be released to public. It must be owned and quote unquote invented by a civilian private company to benefit the world. Thus, the To the Stars team members, just wait, the best stuff is still coming. Now, do I actually believe that To the Stars Academy will actually be able to back engineer UFO technology? I know I'm UFO Jesus, but even I have limits. That said, what if I walked up to you on September 10th, 2017 and told you that in the short term, a former director of a secret UFO program in the Pentagon was going to resign from his position and come forward and testify that UFO intelligence is real, and this was going to prove that the US government never stopped studying UFOs with the close of Project Blue Book?
For nearly the last decade, I ran a sensitive aerospace threat identification program focusing on unidentified aerial technologies. It was in this position I learned that the phenomena is indeed real.
That 2 months later, the New York Times was going to report on this secret UFO program called ATIP, and 2 videos of UFOs would be released by the DoD, and a little later, an additional one would be released as well. That a former Navy pilot that encountered a UFO for a full 5 minutes would make his rounds across the MSM and tell the world that he believes we're not alone.
So bottom line, what do you think this was?
I believe, as do the other folks that were on the flight, that when we visually saw it, that it was something not from this world.
That Congress would get briefed on UFOs and even demand answers on what the hell is going on.
Oh, but I feel like it's something that we must take a look at, and that's why we've written Secretary Spencer of the Navy.
That the president would get briefed on UFOs.
As we mentioned, George also asked President Trump about reports of UFO sightings, and the president for the first time spoke about being briefed on this subject.
And that there would be a docu-series where active duty military personnel would go on the record and tell the world about their UFO encounters. And the mainstream media as a whole would start covering UFOs more than ever before in the history of humankind, and would, for the first time in human history, start taking them more seriously without all the laughs and giggles.
Is something really out there? 3 more U.S. senators received a classified briefing about UFOs at the Pentagon, or in current lingo, unidentified aerial phenomena. You may have heard that pilots and other military personnel have been reporting these kinds of sightings for years. A couple weeks ago, the Department of Defense even released...
If I were to walk up to you and tell you all that would happen post September 10th, 2017, you would look into my eyes and tell me that I'm cray-cray. Don't deny it. Because if someone would have walked up to me and told me all of that would transpire, I would have looked them in the eyes and said, cuckoo, cuckoo. And I'm UFO Jesus. Now, do I think To the Stars Academy can back engineer UFO technology with the aid of aerospace companies within a reasonable amount of time? Maybe. Maybe. Here are all the aerospace companies that To the Stars Academy has partnered with, according to Tom DeLonge, and he published this on Instagram on August 8th, 2019. The following graphic was taken from Danny Silva's website, silvarecord.com. Began technical collaboration with Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Bigelow Aerospace, BAE. I'm going to leave you with a great reflection posted by Bryce Zabel on Twitter, the co-author with Richard Dolan of the book After Disclosure. UFO reality will define the cultural zeitgeist of the 2020s. This next decade is shaping up to be the most turbulent since the 1960s, this time with technology run amok, a climate apocalypse, wars, refugees, and yes, aliens. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop. Link is in the description below, where I sell t-shirts, or you could even become a patron. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.